Your salary versus GPT-5. The 3 core skills the next AI model will never automate. You don't know what you've got till it's gone. Joni Mitchell. The line hangs in the air like a quiet prelude to the digital age. We scroll, we swipe, we automate, we optimize, until suddenly we feel something slipping. Not data, not productivity, something deeper, something human. As technology accelerates, the question grows louder. What remains truly ours? Not the tasks machines absorb. Not the routines AI perfects. What remains is the irreplaceable core. The meaning we bring. The questions we ask. The values we hold. The empathy we embody. And so begins the descent into the invisible architecture of the digital mind. The edge of the algorithm. And you run to catch up with the sun, but it's sinking. Pink Floyd. The lyric lands like a quiet truth beneath the hum of servers. The feeling of racing against a system that accelerates faster than we ever imagined. In the digital age, we chase updates, outputs, relevance, the next version of ourselves, yet the horizon always moves. AI evolves at speed. Humans evolve in meaning. Machines update. Humans awaken. That simple contrast reveals the hidden pattern of our time. You are not competing with the algorithm. You are competing with your own shadow. The fear of falling behind, of being replaced, of losing identity in a world growing more complex and automated. But the sun sinking is not a warning. It is a cycle. It reminds us that value is not found in speed, but in perspective. Not in precision, but in purpose. This is where the story truly begins. Not in the race, but in the awareness of what cannot be automated. The signal beneath the noise. The greatest discovery of any generation is that a human being can alter his life by altering his attitude. William James. In a digital world overflowed with information, the human mind performs its oldest task, filtering signal from noise. Neuroscience reveals the limits of cognitive bandwidth, working memory, attentional loops, and the fragile circuitry of focus. Yet unlike AI, our attention is not merely computational. It is emotional, value-laden, meaning-driven. Machine learning sifts data flawlessly, but cannot decide what matters. Importance is a human construct, a synthesis of memory, desire, identity, and purpose. We bring weight to information, color to data, context to numbers. This is the first reminder. You are not competing with the machine on data capacity. You are the originator of meaning, the arbiter of significance. The mirror of mind. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. Carl Jung. AI reflects patterns that already exist, a mirror trained on the past. But human awareness expands beyond reflection. It transforms Jung's insight becomes a neuroscientific phenomenon. The prefrontal cortex does not merely register the world. It models possibilities, imaginings, futures. Human creativity is not rearrangement. It is emergence. It is the leap from what is to what could be. We stare into digital mirrors and see versions of ourselves extended, amplified, sometimes distorted. But beneath the reflections lies the ancient psychological truth: growth is not automated. Consciousness is not replicated. Insight is not predictable. The mirror shows only what it has been fed. But the mind, the human mind, can break its own pattern. The illusion of safety. Man is condemned to be free. Jean-Paul Sartre. The illusion of safety is a modern invention. We assume that automation guarantees comfort, that technological progress ensures relevance. But existential freedom is a double-edged sword. Responsibility is the cost of agency. AI does not fear obsolescence. Humans do. Our biology evolved for adaptation. Yet our psychology clings to certainty. We grasp for security in routine, identity, salary. But careers are no longer linear, and expertise is no longer a fortress. Freedom, real freedom, lies in the ability to reinvent ourselves. AI systems update. Humans transform. This distinction becomes the first anchor of irreplaceability. Philosophical inquiry. The unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates. Here lies the first core skill AI cannot automate: philosophical inquiry. Not quotes and theories. Those can be synthesized effortlessly. But the lived, embodied practice of asking the right questions at the right moment. The courage to interrogate our assumptions, to confront dissonance, to navigate ambiguity. AI can model logic, but not wonder. It can simulate thought, but not intention. It can generate answers, but not wisdom. Philosophical inquiry is the architecture of human clarity. It is how individuals craft meaning from chaos and direction from uncertainty. In a world where data multiplies every second, the rarest skill is not computation. It is contemplation. Ethical calibration. In questions of science, the authority of 1,000 is not worth the humble reasoning of a single individual. Galileo Galilei. Ethics cannot be automated because ethics is the shape of human choice. The second core skill is ethical calibration, the capacity to tune decisions to values, consequences, and responsibility. Algorithms can simulate fairness but cannot own it. They cannot feel the weight of harm, nor the gravity of impact. Neuroscience tells us that moral reasoning activates emotional and cognitive networks intertwined. Empathy circuits, frontal reasoning loops, social prediction pathways. These are the biological signatures of moral awareness. No model possesses them. Ethical calibration is the compass by which humans steer complexity. And in a world increasingly defined by digital consequences, privacy, surveillance, identity, agency, it becomes not just valuable, but essential. Systemic empathy. We are all connected to each other, biologically, to the Earth, chemically, to the rest of the universe, atomically. Carl Sagan. The third core skill is systemic empathy, the ability to see relationships, not just outputs. The ability to sense downstream consequences, emotional textures, hidden tensions within systems. AI can predict behavior, but it cannot experience belonging. It can model networks, but it cannot inhabit them. Empathy is not a sentiment. It is a cognitive strategy. It allows us to understand others not as data points, but as stories, layered with past and possibility. Systemic empathy is what turns knowledge into connection, analysis into intuition, insight into wisdom. In a hyperconnected age, those who can map human meaning across complex systems will not be replaced. They will lead. The architecture of clarity. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Albert Einstein. Clarity is not compression. It is comprehension. It is the act of distilling complexity into understanding. A process rooted in neural harmonization, not computational output. When we achieve clarity, we activate the brain's integrative networks, linking memory to perception, logic to creativity, intuition to reasoning. Clarity is synthesis, not summary. AI can condense information, but clarity requires perspective. It requires an interior vantage point, the long arc of experience and the subtle textures of personal insight. Clarity is a uniquely human art, the architecture of understanding built from within. The shadow of automation. Technology is a word that describes something that does not work yet. Douglas Adams. Automation promises convenience but conceals cost. The shadow of automation stretches across identity, ambition, and self-worth. When tasks become automated, humans confront an uncomfortable truth. Our value is not in output, but in origin. In the capacity to imagine, connect, and decide. Psychology reveals that self-worth tied to productivity becomes fragile. AI accelerates this fragility by automating external validation. Likes, metrics, performance scores. The more the system automates recognition, the more humans hunger for authenticity. The shadow reveals a paradox. The more work machines do, the more humans need meaning. The human latency. Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. Viktor Frankl. AI reacts instantly. Humans pause. That pause, the latency of consciousness, is not a weakness. It is the birthplace of wisdom. Human latency allows reflection, choice, perspective. It allows us to step outside the automatic, the habitual, the expected. In the space between stimulus and response, we reclaim agency from algorithms, identities from expectations, humanity from systems. We are not built for speed. We are built for depth. The adaptive self. The measure of intelligence is the ability to change. Albert Einstein. Humans evolve through story. AI evolves through data. Change, for us, is not an update. It is a transformation. We grow through conflict, insight, failure, hope. Cognitive science reveals that neural networks reorganize through emotion-rich experiences. Meaning drives plasticity. Purpose shapes rewiring. We adapt not to survive, but to become. The adaptive self is not threatened by AI. It learns from it, integrates it, reimagines itself through it. Obsolescence is not the destiny of the curious. The irreplaceable core. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. Here, in the final descent, we arrive at the heart of the matter. The irreplaceable core of human value lies not in efficiency, output, or precision, but in philosophical inquiry, ethical calibration, and systemic empathy. These three skills shape meaning, guide action, and connect worlds. They form the interior architecture of wisdom, the psychological infrastructure of humanity, the philosophical grounding of the digital age. GPT-5 can write, summarize, analyze, simulate. But it cannot choose. It cannot care. It cannot become. You are not competing with the machine. You are collaborating with the future. The race is not against AI. It is toward deeper awareness of what makes us human. Pause. Breathe. Reflect. You are not obsolete. You are irreplaceable. This is Decode Code, where we uncover the hidden patterns, unseen costs, and scientific forces shaping the mind in the digital age. Thanks for your time. It's been a delight. What should we explore next? Comment, share, and save your insight. Subscribe to Orbital Reads and keep your thoughts bright.